Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships with the Great and Powerful Zilla, and today I'm going to talk about a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to talk about this ship right here. This is the Imperial Japanese Navy Musashi. This is a premium Tier 9 battleship that you can obtain, or used to be able to obtain with coal out of the arsenal. And I'm also going to talk about ranked battles and some of the issues that players are having in ranked battles right now. Nothing to do with anything that they're doing. It's a game design change that a lot of people might not be aware of. Anyway, let's talk about the Musashi briefly. Because everybody talks about the Yamato. This ship did more fighting than the Yamato did it. This ship is identical in almost every detail to the Yamato. The Yamato is the lead ship of the class. There were three of these proposed. Two were actually built, the Musashi here and the Yamato. The Musashi actually saw more action in World War II than the Yamato did. The Musashi was laid down in 1940 when they knew it was going to they were going to be involved in a war with the United States. There were two schools of thought in the Japanese Navy: Isoroku Yamamoto's school of air power and the old school of battleship power. And this reflects that old school methodology. At the time this was built, along with her sister ship, the Yamato, they were the largest battleships ever built in the history of the world. And this ship was completed in 1942, so they're well into the conflict with the United States. Initially, the ship sailed to Attu in the Alaskan archipelago there in the Bering Strait, and then returned to Japan. It also transported the ashes of Admiral Yamamoto after he was killed to Japan for a state funeral. And then it went to defend the Philippines in 1944. It was involved in action with the United States fleet there, but it never actually saw enemy ships as it was going toward the Philippines. It was attacked by United States carriers, the Intrepid, the Essex, the Lexington, and the Enterprise. And they put 19 torpedoes and 17 bombs approximately into this ship, and it sank. Um, that's a heck of a tough ship. Um, and Again, at that point of the war, in October 1944, when this was sunk, the Japanese didn't have the resources to spare. They just did not have the fuel. They did not have enough steel. They didn't have enough of anything. The United States submarines were basically doing what the Germans tried to do to Britain, but the United States actually did it. The Japanese sailors on this ship, the ship was wallowing. It tried to beach itself. It couldn't do that. Started to roll over. Sailors abandoned ship. The captain went down with the ship. The sailors were rescued. Of the 2,200 or so crew members of this ship, 1,376 survived. It might be interest you to know that the destroyer Shimakaze actually rescued 635 of them. Of those survivors, many were sent back to Japan, and many were sent to the Philippines to help defend the Philippines in a lost cause. There's a famous quote by a British general who stated that a lot of nations talk about fighting to the last man and the last bullet. The Japanese were the only ones that actually did it, and that's absolutely true. In their Bushido culture and their culture of honor in World War II, very few actually surrendered until late in the war, when they started to surrender more readily. Let's talk about this ship. This ship displaced, that means it weighed 72,000 tons, along with her sister ship, the Yamato. Again, these two ships were, to all intents and purposes, absolutely identical to each other. Yet the Yamato gets all the press. Go figure. This ship had 9 18-inch guns, 2 turrets forward, 1 aft. It had 12 6-inch gun secondaries, 1, 2, 3, 4 turrets, with 3 6-inch guns in each one of them. I know in the game it says it has AA defense of 39. Let me tell you something. I have flown against the ship again in Tier 8 and Tier 10 carriers. If that's 39, I'd hate to see what 99 is. Seriously. This ship puts up a spirited anti-aircraft defense. Uh, don't listen to that number. It does fairly well against carriers. If you're ever facing this ship in a battle, this is the area you want to aim for, because this is where all the ammunition is stored for these turrets, right here in this area. So if you hit the Musashi or the Yamato in this zone right here, you're going to achieve a citadel, 5 out of 10 times, and you're going to blow the ship up. So that's its weak spot. You can bow tank in it. However, a plunging shot from a big battleship can come right through here, and it can penetrate this and get to the citadel. The citadel is here. Okay? So if you penetrate this deck with your shells, you're going to citadel the thing. All right? So as far as that goes, it's kind of squishy, but it has a huge health pool of 97,000 health. I believe it's 97,000. Let me see. Yep. 97,000 health, and that's without any buffs or flags or anything like that. Okay? So, ranked battles. We're going to take this into ranked battle. I'm going to show you one in here in a minute. But why are people having problems with ranked battles right now? And I'm having problems too, so I'm no different. Well, let's take a look at some of the changes they did that you may not have noticed. Let's say you're rank 11, you go to rank 10. In the past, you would start off with a star. Now you don't. So instead of 3 battles to get to the next, you got 4 battles. So if you want to get to rank 8, you're going to have to go 4, 8 instead of 3, 6. Yeah. So they changed that. So they made it more difficult to go up from one tier to the next. The other thing they did was they removed all the irrevocable ranks from 12 to 1. So you would have to win an incredible streak of games to get all the way up here. And look, at tier 5, it goes from 4 stars to 5 stars. Now the thing about ranked battles is, if you are top dog in a ranked battle, you keep a star. If you're not, you lose a star. Odds are you're not going to be. Why? Because the players that get into ranked battles know what they're doing. And there's always somebody out there that's better than you. So odds are you may do very well. You may even play like a Unicom. But odds are you're not going to be number 1 on that team. Okay? So you're going to lose a star if you lose the game. It's not up to you. It's up to your team. Okay? So you get in on a team and you try your best, and that's all you can do. Now, some players have gotten up to the top, up in these ranks, and some players have gotten to number 1. Good on you. That's great. That's quite an achievement, really, when you think about it. But most of us are stuck here between 8 or 11 and 9. And the reason we're stuck here isn't because of necessarily poor gameplay on our part. Yeah, our teams, fell behind. So remember, in order to go extinct or lose, you don't have to be bad. You just have to succeed a little bit less. All right? In ranked battles, you win, you advance, you lose, you don't. So in order for me to go from rank 10 to rank 9, and I've been at rank 9, I have not been to rank 8 yet, and they've got some nice rewards. So it is worth it to try and get there. In order to get to rank 9, I'd have to win 4 games, okay, in a row without losing. All right? So that's potentially 4 and 8. Odds are to get to rank 8, I would have to play twice as many games. Because you lose, you win. You lose, you win. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and so forth. You get the idea. Okay? And that's why people are stuck between 11 and 9 right now. I have seen some of our players in our clan get to rank 7, but then the next time I look at them, they're at rank 8. One player yesterday just quit playing for the day because he had finally made it to rank 10 and suddenly found himself back at rank 12 in a very short period of time. It depends on the team that you get on. So it's not you, it's everybody. So you win as a team, you lose as a team. Sometimes you get, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. But again, just to review, a couple of the changes that they did, they eliminated this bonus star you get at the start of each rank, and they eliminated irrevocable ranks from 12 all the way to 1. There used to be one at 5. There used to be one somewhere else in here, I think 3. But they've eliminated all of that, and you have to go in a streak from 12 all the way to 1. So if you made it there, good on you. That is fantastic. If you haven't, and you're like me, and you're kind of stuck in this zone, just bear with it, do the best you can. At the end of the rank season, see where you're at, okay? And maybe they'll change it in the future, but for right now, that's what it is, and that's why you're having a hard time getting from, not just winning, you're getting from rank 12 to rank 8. You're having a hard time simply because of this little bitty change right here. Instead of playing 6 games to get 2 ranks, you've got to play 8 games and win to get 2 ranks. So that's that. So speaking of that, we're going to go back on the Musashi, and we're going to go into a rank battle, and we're going to see what happens, okay? And we'll take a look at rank battles and see how they go, all right? And we'll talk to you then. All right, here we are in ranked battles, and there are no necessarily bad ships in ranked battles, but I will mention the Kronstadt. The Kronstadt is a good cruiser, but it ain't all that. And players seem to think it is, and it's not. And the reason it's not is they're not playing it like a cruiser. They're playing it like a battleship, a little small battleship. And it gets itself pounded into oblivion almost every single time. The DM Donskoy, on the other side, that's a good cruiser, and it's often played by players who play it like a cruiser. So that's the only thing I can talk about here as far as the game goes. Otherwise, we're pretty evenly matched. They have an Alsace and an Iowa. We have a Frederick the Great and myself as battleships. 2 Fletchers on both sides. 2 Fletchers on our side. No, I take that back. 2 Fletchers, 1 on each side. I can talk today. And 2 Kitakazes, 1 on each side. Both of those are excellent destroyers. So, what happens in ranked battles, if you look at the mini-map, when it starts, these little buff zones pop up. And you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to get into that zone and get that buff for your team. So usually what happens is the destroyers take off and they go get these buffs initially to start off with. And that gives you an advantage. It gives you faster reload, it gives you an automatic heal, it gives you faster reload of your consumables, gives you extra consumables, etc., 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 reduces your detection, and so forth. So the more buffs you get for your team, the better off your team is as a whole, and the better your ship plays. Now, on this map, what I like to do is go down to the corner of the island at G4 and snipe from that position. The Japanese battleships are pretty darn good at sniping at long range. And we're going to start off there. But something happens in this game that is out of our control, but turns out to be a tremendous advantage for us, but puts me out of position. Okay, so I take a shot at the Donskoy. I take a chunk out of him. It takes a while for the rounds to land, guys. But there we go. I take a chunk out of him. And I'm coming up on this corner. Now, the reason I'm not busting around that corner like a maniac, because torps tend to come straight down around that corner. And if they've launched torps, I sail right into it. And this is such a big, heavy battleship with such small maneuverability that the odds are I'm not going to get out of the way. I'm going to eat a torp. Okay? Which is something you try to avoid. And I misjudged the lead on that Alsace. Normally the French battleships are just flying because they can do like 30 knots. And normally the French battleships are just zooming along. This guy's not. He's just kind of creeping along. So I'm going to give him a smaller lead. And he's adjusting his speed. So he's playing it right. But he's giving me full broadside. And I have 18-inch guns. So you do the math. Okay? If I hit him, it's going to hurt. So what has happened here, if you look in front of me, our destroyer has launched a brace of torpedoes right through that gap. That's an aerial denial thing. What they're trying to do is prevent the enemy from coming that way, or making them think about not coming that way. All right. Now, what we don't know, and we will discover here very soon, is right around D3. The enemy has congregated all in that corner. They've abandoned the rest of the map. So they're all piled up behind that island. And there's the first cruiser. It shows up, the DM Donskoy. And he has the misfortune of going up against our two very excellent, one of our excellent destroyers. This is a Fletcher, and he's going to take him out with torpedoes. So they bust around that corner, and they discover two cruisers and a very angry destroyer. And there goes the Donskoy. So there's a radar. Radar's gone. Okay? And I congratulate our destroyer. And I'm wondering if I should push up, because the other destroyer is still out there. You know, we know that the one of their destroyers, is the Kitakaze, is over there. Okay, I can see that on the minimap. Where is the Fletcher? That's what I'm worried about. Okay, because a destroyer can screw up the Musashi badly. And you don't want to just know. You don't want to get involved with a destroyer on a Musashi. Okay, even though your secondaries are great, they have a 9-kilometer range. Odds are those torpedoes hit a lot harder than your secondaries do. All right. And destroyers will appear, disappear, and just torture you, because you're slower. You can't maneuver quickly. Yeah, you can take a lot of beating, but it's hard against a destroyer. What doesn't want to face you is a cruiser. So I'm going to move forward here. I'm moving forward because Frederick the Great is moving forward. If it were just me, I wouldn't be pushing out this way. Even though our Kitakaze is out there scouting ahead of me, I am paranoid. But am I paranoid enough? I don't know. So I'm moving forward down the middle. Unbeknownst to me, at this time, is that I am out of position. And so is the Kitakaze, and so is the Frederick the Great. Because we didn't know it, but you see the red dots starting to show up on the map? The whole enemy team, except for that one destroyer, is over there. They have boxed themselves into a corner. This right now is almost a guaranteed win. Almost a guaranteed win. So more buffs pop up on the map, and our Kitakaze is going for him. But lo and behold, he runs into a problem, and that would be the Fletcher. Now in a gunfight, the Fletcher and the Kitakaze are about equal. But our Kitakaze has an advantage in the buffs. The Fletcher does not. And he may be more skilled than the Fletcher, but he's starting to chunk away at the Fletcher. I can't shoot anything. I've got a big mountain range on my left, and I've got mountains on my right. So I can't hit the Fletcher. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bending it to the right to pick up that buff, while our Kitakaze deals with the Fletcher, which he shouldn't have any problems with the Fletcher. And I am going to target the Fletcher with my secondaries, just in case he wanders into my secondary range and I can lend some support to that Kitakaze. Okay? So, I'm going to move around here, and this battle has taken on a life of its own, and it's really out of my hands. And there's a brace of torpedoes from the Fletcher. Our Kitakaze avoids it. And the Fletcher's pretty much shot his bolt at that point. He has shot his bolt. God bless him. He tried, but there's just no way. He's out there by himself against a Japanese gunboat. No, it's not going to work. A Fletcher's more of an ambush predator than it is a shoot it out with an enemy destroyer type. So, Kitakaze's going south to pick up that health buff. I'm going over here to pick up this health buff. I've taken virtually no damage. I mean, just very slight damage. The enemy team is all piled up over there. This is just a massacre at this point. And I'm out of position. I can't do any more damage. I've had games I've lost where I've done 130,000, 140,000 damage. You know what? I'll take a win with 15,000. Thank you very much. But our team did a fantastic job in this game, and can't say enough about them. They just did an awesome job. And why the enemy team lemming trained where they did, that's a mystery that has to be solved. But they did, and you see the result. So if you're on this map, don't do that. Don't pile into one corner. You know, the key to this map is to dominate the center. If you dominate the center, you get all the buffs. You can pick up the capture point that pops up in the middle, and you can control the map. So the key to this map is controlling the middle of the map. I've seen teams, and I've been on teams that have gone down the way they're going, and I've been on teams that go down the other side of the map. Sometimes that works, but not often. More often than not, the team that controls the middle is going to win the game. Okay? So, that's game. The Alsace is going to go down here, not to me, somebody else. And their poor Kitakazi, he's stuck out there, and he's been radared and flagged and everything else, and he's probably got every ship in the world pointing at him. And, you know, he just doesn't stand much of a chance now. He has shot his bolt. He fired off his torpedoes. At some points in the game, as on a big battleship, you can afford to take a torpedo hit just to get him. Because when everyone sees a destroyer, they're like, kill it with fire. So that's it. That's a ranked battle. And in this case, I advance up a rank and to rank 10 again. Again, you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and notice there's no bonus star there. But that's how ranked battles go right now. Until next time, you guys be good to each other and have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.